Mr. President, I'm coming down the Senate floor second time in about a month to try to pass a really important bill for some really heroic constituents of mine, Alaska Native Vietnam veterans. And I'm going to explain this bill a little bit. Hopefully the Senate is going to work well, because when I tried to pass this a month ago, Senator Padilla said, hey, I'm going to object, but if you work with us on some bills that you can move in a pairing, then we'll pass this. So I've done that. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to actually try to pass two bills, Mr. President. I see that the senior senator from New Mexico is on the floor, which doesn't bode well for the passage of this bill, which is disappointing, and I'm going to get to why it's disappointing. It's remarkable that this bill would be blocked, again, by Democrats. But let me give you a little bit about the background. So Alaska Native people in my state serve at higher rates in the military than any other ethnic group in the country, what I refer to as special patriotism. You go into Alaska Native villages, you ask how many veterans are there, almost everybody raises their hand. It is remarkable. It is patriotic. It is incredible. And if the rest of the country were like Alaska Native people in terms of service to our military, we'd have a better America. They underwent an incredible injustice, Mr. President, because so many Alaska Natives went to Vietnam to serve in the war when a lot of Americans, let's face it, were avoiding service in Vietnam. And so these great men and women went to serve their country in Vietnam. When they got drafted, they say, hey, it's my time. My dad fought in World War II. My uncle fought in Korea. I'm just going. So they all went. And what happened, every Alaska Native had the ability to get under a 1906 law, a native allotment. If you could go and say, hey, I grew up in this area, I hunted and fished here, I want to get 160 acres for an allotment, the federal government would say, here, you get that allotment. Okay, that was in the law. When these guys were over serving in Vietnam, Congress changed that law. It's complicated, but they passed what was called the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, a very important bill, and it extinguished the ability for Alaska Natives to get their native allotment. Well, guess what? A lot of these guys, few women, were overseas serving their country in Vietnam. They didn't know. There was no internet, no cell phones, right? So they got home. They weren't treated well because they were Vietnam vets, let's face that. They weren't treated well because there's still a lot of discrimination with regard to Native people, indigenous people. And then they were told, oh, by the way, that native allotment that you wanted, sorry, when you were fighting for your country, we passed the law saying you can't get it anymore. Well, look, I thought that was a huge injustice, so I worked on a bill during President Trump's first term to say, now wait a minute, if you were overseas serving your country and you miss your ability to apply for a native allotment, you should get the ability to do it. That law passed. I was in the Oval Office when the President of the United States signed it. He said, this is an injustice. I'm going to fix this for the Alaska Native Vietnam vets. I mean, what's more bipartisan than that? Why would you come down the Senate floor and block this bill? So anyways, when Secretary Holland, New Mexico Secretary of Interior, when she went through her confirmation process, I talked to her about a number of things, but I said, Madam, or she was a congresswoman at the time, I said, the number one issue I care about, more than anything, more than oil and gas, more resource development, the number one issue I care about that you need to commit to me, Congresswoman Deb Haaland, is to rapidly implement this bill. Okay? These are Vietnam vets, a lot of them are dying, okay, to make this a priority. I met with her twice, and she committed to me twice, okay, to do that. Guess what? Secretary Haaland did not keep her commitment at all. As a matter of fact, one of the first things she did when she got into office as Secretary of Interior under Joe Biden, she delayed implementation of this bill for 2 years, just put a moratorium on it. I was like, whoa, you certainly lied to me there, Madam Secretary. Okay, 2 years. She just did nothing. Overall, the program's a 5-year program. She shamefully did 40 allotments in 4 years. 40 Alaska Native Vietnam vets got this. There's 2,000, over 2,000 who are eligible. They just didn't do it because they didn't want people to get land, even Alaska Native Vietnam veterans. So anyways, Mr. President, this bill has a 5-year window. It expires in December. All I'm trying to do is extend it for 5 more years. That's it. This is a one-sentence bill. It says it changes the words 5 years to 10 years. And guess what? Mr. President, last year in December, I came down the Senate floor and I passed this unanimously. Passed. So, the Senate passed it last year. The House has already passed it. If this bill passes tonight, it's going to go to the president and he's going to sign it. Like, why would anyone block this? Okay? So I tried to do this a month ago, and Senator Padilla was on the floor and he said, hey, I'm going to block it because we kind of don't think it's fair if we just get one Republican bill over the goal line. So he and I talked on the floor. He said, let us work with you, Dan, because we know this is important to you. We know it's important to your heroic constituents. Let us work with you. If you pair this with a Democrat bill that's important, we'll work to pass it. So Senator Padilla objected when I tried to pass it last time. And the Democrats even suggested to me what bill to pair it with. It's called H.R. 1034 or S909. It's the La Paz County Solar Energy and Job Creation Act. It's a pretty good bill. It's a land exchange. This is Senator Gallego's bill. So the Democrats told me if you can pair your bill for Vietnam vets with the Gallego bill, Senate H.R. 1034, then that's fair because we're moving a Democrat bill and we're moving a Republican bill. They're paired together. By the way, they're both ready to go to be signed by the president. That would be fair. So my team worked really hard to clear all the Republican holds on the Senator Gallego bill. We've been working on it for the last 3 or 4 weeks. There's a number of holds, and I went to my Republican colleagues, hey guys, can you lift the hold, right? This is a pretty good bill from Senator Gallego, important to him in Arizona, and this is really important to me. And I explained the Alaska Native Vietnam vet bill, and so we lifted the holds. Republicans cleared the hotline. So that's what's happened. Now, I guess, unless he's here to talk about how he supports my bill, so 2 hours ago we thought this was going to clear. Gallego's bill, Sullivan's bill, good for Arizona. Democrats, good for Alaska Native Vietnam vets. And we get a call an hour ago saying, nope, the Dems are going to move the goalposts and they're going to object. Why? I'm really looking forward to hearing from my good friend from New Mexico on why they're going to object, but I'm pretty sure I know why. He's going to tell me, hey, we want to move more bills. Well, wait, you guys just told me 2 weeks ago, pair the Gallego bill with the Alaska Native Vietnam vet bill and we'll pass it. Normally, the Senate works on trust, right? So I did that. But I guess now the Dems are going to move the goalposts and they want to leverage Alaska Native Vietnam vets, heroes, to get more stuff. I don't know. I want to hear from Senator Heinrich. You know, the Dems are starting to get really good. This is a pattern at leveraging really good Americans, air traffic controllers for the last 40 days to get other stuff. Now it looks like they're going to leverage Alaska Native Vietnam vets who got hosed by their own government to just, all they want is to get their allotment that they missed the opportunity to get when they were serving their country in Vietnam. Like, how hard is that? So, again, we have 2 good bills right now, Mr. President. One is a Dem bill, one is a Republican bill. If we pass the HR bill, they're going to go right to the president's desk. Now, the other objection I heard from my Democratic colleagues is that, well, they don't want to pass House bills. So I'm like, all right, well, if you don't want to pass House bills, let's pass the Sullivan Senate version of this In the Gallego Senate version, again, I'm down here on the floor trying to help Senator Gallego, a Democrat from Arizona. He's a Marine. I like Marines. He's got a good bill here. It seems like it's going to help his constituents. So I'm ready to go, all right, if you guys want to object to the House bill, I get that. You know, we're objecting. Some of our senators are objecting to House bills, even though those would go right to the president, says, we'll move forward on the Senate bill. Now that means I'll have to go back over to the House, so it won't get signed by the president here right away. So I'm ready to do that too. I just want to help the people I represent, and these are very special people. If any of you, Senator Heinrich, met some of these Alaska Native Vietnam vets, you would cry when you hear their stories. So heroic. And all I'm trying to do is help them. And we got this done. And by the way, the program expires in December. The program that I got done with President Trump's signature on it expires in a month. Secretary Holland slow-walked it. I got it passed last year to extend it, and now my Democratic colleagues are slow-walking it. It's going to expire next month. I came here a month ago. They told me, all right, Dan, we know it's important to you. Go pair it. And they said, go pair Gallego's bill with this, and we'll sign off on it. I got all the Republicans to sign off on my bill and Gallego's. And just an hour ago, nope, we're going to leverage these Vietnam vets against you, Dan Sullivan, to get more. Now look, the senator from New Mexico is probably going to say, hey, I want to move more bills. All right, I'll help you move more bills. Right? You just saw I worked Gallego's bill. But these two bills are ready to go to the president's desk. A Democrat bill, which is a pretty good bill for Arizona, and a Republican bill, which is a really good bill for my constituents, heroic constituents. So, Mr. President, I'm going to try, and maybe Senator Heinrich is going to get up and say, gosh darn it, Dan Sullivan, this is a great bill, and I just want to come here and speak out on behalf of it. You know, a lot of the Democrats talk about indigenous people, people of color, how much they care about minority communities. When it comes to my state, these guys target Alaska Natives. I've seen it my whole career. I mean, geez, the minority leader, the guy goes after Alaska Natives like they're some kind of criminals. It's outrageous. This is a bill for indigenous people of America. And all the Democrats, oh, we care about, no, you don't. If you did, maybe Senator Heinrich tonight is going to talk about how much he cares about indigenous people in Alaska. I've seen him talk about it before. If he does, then he should prove it right now. So, Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Energy and Natural Resources be discharged and the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of the following bills en bloc. Further, that the bills be considered read a third time and passed en bloc, and that the motions to be reconsidered be considered made and laid upon the table, all en bloc. H.R. 410, the Alaska Native Vietnam Era Veterans Land Allotment Extension Act of 2025, and H.R. 1043, the La Paz County Solar Energy and Job Creation Act.
Is there objection?
Mr. President, reserving the right to object, I rise today
Senator from New Mexico.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to object on behalf of my colleague from California, Senator Padilla, and my colleague from Colorado, Senator Bennett. The Energy and Natural Resources Committee does have a long tradition of bipartisanship and cooperation when it comes to passing very local and oftentimes very parochial land bills. Typically, this is negotiated in a package rather than the piecemeal approach that we're seeing today, for many reasons, but in part because we have literally hundreds of bills within our committee's jurisdiction that need action, including the ones that my colleague is talking about today, with most representing very important local priorities in our states. Unfortunately, attempting to pass individual bills through unanimous consent in this manner tends to favor one party or one chamber's priorities and is often ineffective at actually getting legislation signed into law. Senator Padilla, Senator Bennett, and I are happy to sit down with my colleague from Alaska and with the chairman to make sure that both our chambers, both our parties' priorities can be put together in a way that we see them reach the finish line. And therefore, in support of my colleague from California, my colleague from Colorado, I must object at this time. Thank you, Mr. President.
The objection is heard. Chair recognizes
President?
Senator from Alaska.
Mr. President, I disappointed in this. Now, I was trying to pass the HR bills from the House. Because those bills have already passed, the Gallego bill, the Sullivan bill, the lands transfer bill for Arizona, the Alaska Native Vietnam Vets bill for my brave Alaska Native veterans. I was informed that maybe, and you heard it from the senator from New Mexico, that maybe they don't want to pass House bills. He kind of said that. He did mention that he's objecting because he doesn't want to favor one party over the other. That argument is irrelevant because I'm passing a Democrat bill and a Republican bill. So this is even Steven when it comes to the parties. And I'm very surprised that he's objecting on behalf of Senator Padilla, because when Senator Padilla objected to my bill a month ago, he literally said, hey, Dan, work with us, pair it with the Democrat bill. And then Senator Padilla, his team even suggested which Democrat bill to pair it with, which was the Gallego bill, which I'm trying to pass right now. So what my colleague from New Mexico just said, none of it makes sense unless people are going back on their word, which is a little bit frustrating because the Senate operates on trust here. So, Mr. President, maybe it's because my colleague doesn't like a House bill. So what I'm going to try and do now, again, for Senator Gallego, a Democrat from Arizona, and for me, a Republican from Alaska, I'm now going to try and pass by unanimous consent the Senate version of these bills. And what I did, because I told the other side that I would do it, I told Senator Gallego and Senator Padilla, I will clear Senator Gallego's bill. I will clear it on the Republican side. It took a lot of work. We got that done. So let's see if we can pass the Senate version of these bills. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Energy and Natural Resources be discharged and the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of the following bills en bloc. Further, that the bills be considered read a third time and passed en bloc, and that the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table, all en bloc. Senator Gallego's bill, S-909, the La Paz County Solar Energy and Job Creation Act, and my bill, Senate S-785, the Alaska Native Vietnam Era's Land Allotment Extension Act.
Objection?
Mr. President, I object.
The objection is heard.
Mr. President, I'm just going to end by saying I'm very disappointed. I tried to do this a month ago. This bill of mine that really is for some great heroes in America the program is going to expire in a month. This bill passed unanimously in December. And my colleague from New Mexico came down and talked in process terms about why he's objecting. And it's a little hard to understand, but I actually think there's probably something else going on here, to be honest, Mr. President. I've been around this place long enough. This is a chart that I have called the Last Frontier Lockup. It lists the 70 executive orders and executive actions all throughout the state of Alaska to lock up my state. 70 executive orders and executive actions issued by the Biden administration to shut down Alaska, stop getting access to federal lands in Alaska, stop any kind of resource development in Alaska. And one of those 70 was to delay and stop the Alaska Native Vietnam Veterans Allotment Act program that Secretary Holland committed me to implement. This is what my Democrat colleagues do. This is what they do to Alaska. They have groups, far-left groups, that tell them when they get in power, shut down Alaska. But wait a minute. We have bills to help Alaska Native Indigenous people. They're like, hey, we don't care about them. Shut down Alaska. Shut down Indigenous people's opportunities. I saw it for 4 years with the Biden administration. This whole area, the National Petroleum Reserve of Alaska, that's meant for oil and gas development, they shut down the whole thing. Okay? Guess who wanted that to be open? All the indigenous leaders of the North Slope. The tribe, the Alaska Native Corporation, the borough leadership, they came down here 8 times to D.C., 8 times to try to meet with the Secretary of Interior, say, don't lock up my lands. Don't lock up my lands. She never met with them. Never met with them. My colleague from New Mexico has been the leader in locking up Alaska. I mean, I've come down the floor and raised a little bit of heck on all the actions he's taken to lock up my state. So look, the Democrats really don't want anyone, including heroic Alaska Native Vietnam vets, to have access to land, even though that's the law. And it's really, really ironic that they always say they want to help indigenous people, but in my state, their actions are very different. And this is a great example when they're doing it. You know, it's really ironic, too, that during the 4 years of the Biden administration, when this was going on, it was drill, baby, drill in New Mexico. New Mexico, with the Secretary of Interior's help, increased oil production from 1 million barrels to 2 million barrels a day on federal lands. And yet, the senator from New Mexico and the Secretary of Interior and Joe Biden said, but we're going to shut this place down. And now, they're saying, we're going to make sure the native Vietnam vets who had a real injustice, we fixed it under law, then it was delayed by the Biden administration's Secretary of Interior. And all I'm trying to do is get a 2-word change so this program can continue. These guys are dying every day, these great heroes. I came to the floor a month ago. I tried to get it done. The Democrat senators said, do this, Dan. I did it. Do this, Dan. I did it. Pair it with the Democrat bill. I did it. Ready to go. And an hour ago, they said, nope, we're going to block it again. It's an outrage. It's an outrage. And it's not because of process. It's because they want to keep my state shut down. I see it every time here. And it's wrong, Mr. President. It's wrong. And I hope I'll keep working. If you guys want to pass more bills, I'll keep trying. But I'm starting to lose a little trust. A month ago, I was on the floor. You guys told me what to do to move this. I did it. And none of you kept your word. And that's not how this place operates. I yield the floor.